Today, I want to go into one of the challenges that I personally have struggled with a lot, and I've worked with a lot of students that struggle with this as well, and that is procrastination and time management, right? You can have your goals set perfectly and you can have them planned out so precisely, but if you are not able to manage your time and if you continue to procrastinate, then the reality is that you just won't get done what you need to get done, and so you won't actually reach your goal. So procrastination is when you delay or you postpone your tasks or your activities that you need to do in order to achieve your goal, and you do this despite knowing that there's going to be negative consequences. And that is what is so frustrating about procrastination, is that we know that it's not helping us, we know that it just stresses us out even more, but it's a real struggle to overcome. And so we're avoiding these tasks that need to be done. We tend to procrastinate and prioritize short-term pleasure, or we're just avoiding the discomfort of actually doing the task. Maybe the task is overwhelming and we just don't know where to start with it, and so we get overwhelmed by that, and that is uncomfortable for us to actually get started, or because we're so overwhelmed and stressed at the idea of starting this, we feel that it might be better to just watch some series or listen to some music or go out and hang out with our friends, because that will provide us with that short-term relief of that stress. And so that's what we're chasing, right? A lot of the time we are either running towards pleasure or away from pain. So we have to still progress. We have to still move forward, because procrastination is going to stop you from achieving what it is that you want to achieve. Poor time management is going to stop you from achieving what you want to achieve. And so ultimately, these are things that we need to overcome. And myself as a student, I used to procrastinate a lot for the first 3 years that I was a student. And it was only when I started with my postgraduate studies that I kind of had that realization that this specific institution where I have to write these very intense essays, I'm not going to be able to get away with procrastination if I want to achieve well specifically. And I was a very high achiever, so I wanted to achieve well. And that is where I learned how to stop procrastinating. Okay, so I want to go into what contributes to procrastination, because it helps to really understand how you got here, right? So that you can kind of understand how you are functioning in the situation, and that helps you to kind of overcome it. So one particular issue could be a lack of motivation. So maybe you are, unclear of why you are pursuing this goal. So maybe you're studying a qualification that you're not really interested in. You're not even sure you want to go into this field. And so there's no clear sense of why, right? There's a lack of purpose. Or you just don't have the motivation to complete that task. So you may then perceive that there's a lack of reward, right? Because you're not really interested in this. And so you don't actually think that there's going to be a reward at the end of it. So that could be one of the reasons. Or maybe you don't believe that you could achieve this goal. And so you don't actually see yourself succeeding or reaching this goal. And so that could be one reason why you actually lack the motivation to continue doing it. Another contributing factor is a fear of failure. So I saw this a lot working with students as well. It's that fear of disappointing your parents maybe, or the fear of not meeting that expectation, not achieving that goal, or making mistakes along the way. And that can lead us to procrastinate, because we fear that once we start working on that goal or on that task, that we're going to fail at it. And so we are avoiding that potential reality by just not getting started, by delaying it, by pushing it away. And so we are avoiding facing the potential negative outcomes if we do pursue this goal, right? We could also be fearing rejection or judgment, or what people are going to think of us as we are pursuing this goal. And that can be another reason why we are afraid to fail in front of people. We're afraid of looking dumb, or we're afraid of what they're going to think, right? Another contributing factor that's very, very big is perfectionism, right? So if you are someone that sets unrealistically high standards for yourself, then that can also result in you procrastinating, because you stressing yourself out and overwhelming yourself by putting this pressure on yourself for yourself to be perfect and to achieve perfectly. So you might then delay doing that task until the circumstances are perfect for you. So for example, let's say you need to study for this test, but they're doing construction, right? And it's a hell of a noise and you just can't focus. So you say, you know what, I'll do it tomorrow, or I'll do it next week. You're delaying it because you think that the circumstances aren't perfect, right? For you to do this perfectly and for you to achieve perfectly under these circumstances. So then you just delay it and you push it off, when you could instead, go somewhere else to go study. You could use earplugs, you could make another plan. But if you think of yourself as needing to achieve everything perfectly and to do everything perfectly, that alone can be the reason why you are procrastinating. And that could be the reason why you keep delaying and pushing things off. Another big contributing factor is poor time management. So if you struggle to prioritize your tasks and manage your time effectively, that can also lead you to procrastinate, okay? Because without that structured plan, without knowing exactly what you need to do and when you need to do it, you can then struggle to actually start doing your tasks because everything is just disorganized and you haven't done that planning aspect of it for yourself. And then lastly, another big thing that leads to procrastination is just a lack of self-discipline, So when you have difficulty resisting those short-term pleasures, those immediate, gratification, and you struggle to focus on your long-term goals, that can lead you to procrastinate as well. Because now, for example, let's say you are trying to lose weight, you're trying to get healthy, but you haven't really disciplined yourself enough to know that you have to go to the gym, you have to work out a certain number of days of the week. And so because you lack that self-discipline and you're more focused on the short-term gain of being, comfy and cozy at home, that is then, leading to you actually not reaching this goal because you've decided that the immediate gratification of relaxing and resting is more important than this goal that you want to achieve. So when we focused on, the short-term gain and not the long-term goal, that is when we start to get our priorities jumbled, because then we decide that, the instant gratification of eating that chocolate is more important than the goal of losing weight or the goal of getting in shape or prioritizing our health, because we haven't disciplined ourselves enough to the point where we understand what is more important and that we need to do it even when we're not motivated. We need to show up for ourselves even when it's difficult. That is what self-discipline is. It's when you want that goal more than you want the short-term gain and that instant gratification. Okay, so in order for us to overcome procrastination, we need to start by, making the task more manageable for ourselves. So like I mentioned, one of the biggest reasons for procrastination is that we perceive this task to be overwhelming. We perceive it to be a threat. And so we are overwhelmed, and that's why we avoid it. So if we're breaking down our tasks into smaller steps, more manageable steps, it will make it a lot more easy to approach it and get started with it. The hardest part normally is just to start with the task, but once you get started, it becomes a lot easier to progress and continue with that task. So the overall goal will seem a lot less overwhelming and more achievable once we've broken it up into those smaller steps. Another way to do this is to set your specific goals with deadlines. So obviously if you're a student, then you have assessment deadlines already given to you. But if your goal doesn't necessarily have deadlines assigned to it, then that's up to you to decide what those deadlines are. And you want them to be realistic, of course. So it really does help to focus your effort and your attention on each goal when you have those deadlines, and that will reduce, the likeliness of you procrastinating on that task. The next thing to address your procrastination is to prioritize your tasks. So based on their importance and based on their deadlines, you'll have a very clear look at what is more urgent, what is more important, and what needs to be dealt with first, right? And so when you tackle the high priority tasks first, that will give you that sense of accomplishment, and that will give you that motivation to keep going, because you see, okay, the worst is over. I've done the worst of the task, so now I can just keep going and then it will be done, right? So when you get rid of the most stressful bits first, it just gets easier and easier to keep going. The next thing is to develop a routine, okay? So having a consistent daily routine really makes a big difference in building those good habits. So knowing what you need to do each day and when you need to do it will help you maintain that structured approach to doing your work. And it will again reduce the likelihood of you procrastinating because you've got a clear idea of what you need to get done each day. And because it's become part of your routine, you just end up flowing and doing it. So eventually, you're doing it just by pure habit. You don't have to think about it as much. And the next thing is to address your underlying issues when it comes to procrastination. So, there might be different things that contribute to your procrastination, such as, like I mentioned, the fear of failure or perfectionism. And if you're getting that support, maybe from a counselor or, friends and family, just unpacking this and trying to, work on this and hold yourself accountable really helps you to kind of work through this and make your procrastination a thing of the past. Okay, and then the next thing is to use different time management techniques. Okay, so there's this Pomodoro technique where you can work in, short focused intervals. So, for example, working for 25 minutes and then taking a 5-minute break. That helps you to know that you're going to be focused on this task for 25 minutes and then you're going to take a rest break for 5 minutes and then come back for another 25 minutes, take another 5 minutes of rest. That way you're not, wearing yourself out and burning out from just trying to achieve your goal or get your task done. Another thing that really helps is using a planner or like a digital calendar or something just to block out slots within your day. So schedule a time slot in your calendar like you would if you were scheduling an appointment, right? If you have a doctor's appointment at 11 a.m. on a Tuesday, you are going to be there at 11 a.m. on Tuesday. So you must do the same thing with yourself and your goals. Schedule time slots in your calendar where you know that at this specific time, for this amount of time, I'm going to be doing this task. I'm going to be working on this. So that will help you to also avoid distractions. You can put your phone off. You can let people know that you're not available from this time to this time. And that helps you to actually work towards what you need to do. Okay, and then lastly, it's very important to reward yourself, okay, in a healthy way, of course, and to keep yourself motivated as you're completing your tasks. So you want to acknowledge when you've completed a task. You want to acknowledge once you've reached that goal and really pat yourself on the back, because a lot of the times we focus just on the next goal, on the next task, and we don't really give ourselves credit and acknowledgement for what we've just achieved. When we do celebrate these small achievements and we use that positive reinforcement, it really helps us to build that momentum and get started with the next task, with the next goal. So just remember that overcoming procrastination is a gradual process. It does take practice. It takes a lot of self-awareness. And you need to find what works best for you. Okay, so this might mean that you need to experiment with different things. You might need to try different techniques of time management, or, just unpack what it is really that's going on that's causing you to procrastinate. When we have that self-awareness and we implement these different strategies, that will help us significantly to just reduce our procrastination and get done what we need to get done and improve our overall productivity so that we're getting things done without really thinking about it. We know what we need to get done. We make a plan, we schedule it in, and we do it. We don't keep pushing it off, keep delaying it, keep distracting ourselves, and then, feel bad about it, beat ourselves up about it. It's like really once you sort out your procrastination issues, life tends to just flow a lot easier because you already know how to do this. Okay, so I hope this really helped you, and I'll see you in my next video.